Some people complained the new ad by American Eagle featuring actress Sydney Sweeney sent an offensive message.
He called and said, "The producers and I have discussed that I think it's best that you don't come to visit."
Sydney Sweeney's rise has been fast, loud, and unstoppable. But as anyone in Hollywood learns, the higher you climb, the more people look for reasons to pull you back down. Some celebrities made jokes that landed wrong, some threw indirect shade, and a few didn't bother hiding their frustration at how quickly she became a superstar. Sydney rarely responds, but the list of names who have publicly or subtly dissed her has grown, creating a strange Hollywood pattern. It's always the rising stars who attract the most heat. One of the earliest hits came from Joan Rivers' daughter, Melissa Rivers, during a red carpet recap where she joked that Sydney clearly gets roles for reasons other than range. The moment was meant to be humorous, but it stung. The internet quickly recognized it as a backhanded way of calling her all looks, no skill. Melissa tried to smooth it over by saying she admired Sydney's presence, but the implication lingered, that Sydney wasn't a serious actress. Fans defended her relentlessly, but that moment planted a seed that other critics later watered. Things escalated when Glenn Powell's ex-girlfriend, Gigi Paris, liked and shared several shady posts on social media hinting that Sydney caused their breakup while filming Anyone But You. She never said Sydney's name directly, but the message was clear enough for the internet to interpret it as a diss. TikTok ran wild with claims that Sydney destroyed a relationship, even though everyone involved repeatedly denied it. But online narratives don't need truth, they need momentum. Gigi's subtle actions were more powerful than any direct accusation, and Sydney became the center of a viral storm she never asked for. Then came a podcast moment that became a full-blown controversy. Actress Christina Ricci, a respected figure in Hollywood, commented that younger actresses sometimes rely more on their marketing than their talent. She didn't mention Sydney by name, but she said the blonde girl from Euphoria in a tone that left no room for interpretation. Fans were stunned. Ricci later insisted she wasn't attacking anyone personally, but the damage was already circulating across millions of screens. It confirmed what many suspected: people in the industry were watching Sydney's rise with resentment. The tension grew when one of Sydney's own co-stars, Hugh Grant, made a surprising comment in a press junket. When asked what it was like acting opposite Sydney, he said she knows her camera angles well, then paused as if searching for something else to say but didn't add it. The silence hit harder than the sentence. It sounded like he was implying she relies more on appearance than performance. Fans debated the clip for weeks. Some said he meant she's a professional. Others felt he was throwing a mild but unmistakable jab. Sydney didn't acknowledge it, but insiders said people on set were stunned by the remark. Then there was the director drama. Independent filmmaker Paul Schrader, known for controversial opinions, said in an interview that some actresses today get handed major roles because they trend well, and when pressed for specifics, he smirked and said, "You've seen Sydney Sweeney everywhere lately, haven't you?" The implication was cutting, that she was being shoved into the spotlight by buzz rather than merit. Schrader's reputation for bluntness made the comment even harsher because he clearly wasn't speaking metaphorically. While many fans clapped back and called him outdated, the quote became one of the first direct Hollywood slams against her. A surprising name added fuel to the fire next: Howard Stern. During a radio segment, he discussed young Hollywood stars and said Sydney doesn't do much for me as an actress, claiming studios were overhyping her like they always do with the next blonde. The internet dragged him for being dismissive and sexist, but his massive audience meant the comments spread fast. Stern doubled down, which only intensified the backlash. Sydney ignored the entire ordeal, but fans noticed how many older celebrities felt oddly comfortable criticizing her. Then the music industry entered the picture when rapper Azealia Banks posted one of her now infamous rants, calling Sydney another overrated Hollywood Barbie and accusing the industry of shoving her in every movie like she's the second coming of Meryl. Azealia is known for targeting random celebrities, but this rant caught traction because it wasn't vague, it was pointed, specific, and dripping with disdain. Fans dismissed it as typical Azealia chaos, but the phrasing stuck: Hollywood Barbie. It became a meme, and even though most used it jokingly, it added to the pile of negativity aimed at Sydney. Another unexpected diss came from Lena Dunham during an interview about modern actresses. She mentioned that some of the new girls get opportunities because they fit a very specific beauty algorithm. When pressed about who she meant, Lena said, "I don't want to call anyone out, but think about Euphoria. She didn't have to say the name. She didn't have to spell it out." The internet did the math instantly. The underlying message was that Sydney's beauty, not her ability, was the key to her success, one of the most familiar and insulting narratives about her. Even people outside film offered commentary. Comedian Theo Von, during a podcast, joked that Sydney looks like she could play every hot girl role ever but doesn't exactly scream Shakespeare. The joke landed with his audience, but it traveled online without context, making it sound like a harsh critique rather than a light tease. Sydney's fans called it lazy humor. Others said it mirrored the broader pattern. People kept reducing her to her looks, even as she delivered strong performances in drama after drama. But one of the most surprising critics was actress Chloe Grace Moretz, who commented in a roundtable interview that Hollywood sometimes rewards performances that are loud rather than layered. She didn't name Sydney, but she referenced Euphoria immediately after, saying some characters lean on crying and shouting as shortcuts. Many saw this as a direct swipe at Sydney's emotionally heavy role as Cassie. The moment sparked tension online between fanbases. Chloe later clarified that she admired the show, but by then the internet had already decided her comments were targeted. Another blow came from talk show host Wendy Williams, during one of her viral-style online segments. She said Sydney was pretty but not memorable and claimed younger actresses were copy-pasted blonde templates studios love. It was spiteful, dramatic, and very on-brand for Wendy, but still insulting. People online criticized her for attacking another woman's talent, but her comment added another voice to the chorus of Hollywood figures undermining Sydney's abilities. Even newer stars felt emboldened to speak up. Actress Madeline Klein, often compared to Sydney because of their similar breakout paths, commented in an interview that it can be frustrating when roles go to people who don't necessarily have the training but have the visibility. She never named Sydney, but the comparison was obvious. Blogs and fans immediately connected the dots, creating a rivalry narrative neither actress wanted, but one that stuck anyway. The most surprising comment came from someone Sydney had never met, Sharon Stone. In an interview about modern Hollywood talent, she said, "There's a lot of noise right now. Being famous doesn't mean being exceptional." She then brought up Euphoria, saying that some performances rely too much on shock value rather than depth. Fans immediately interpreted this as shade towards Sydney, whose character arc in the show leaned heavily into emotional chaos. Sharon insisted she wasn't targeting anyone specific, but the timing made people suspicious. What makes all these comments interesting is not simply that they exist, but that they reveal an uncomfortable Hollywood truth. Sydney's fast rise threatens people. Not because she's untalented, but because she breaks their idea of how slowly fame is supposed to be earned. She didn't spend 10 years building quiet credibility, she exploded. She moved from supporting roles to global stardom in record time. She became a producer in her early 20s. She headlined franchises and prestige series at an age when many actresses still fight for auditions. That level of momentum makes some people uncomfortable, and in Hollywood, discomfort often turns into shade. Yet Sydney never responds. She doesn't clap back. She doesn't post cryptic quotes. She doesn't trade barbs for clicks. She simply keeps working. She continues landing roles. She continues proving herself. She continues to outperform her critics. And maybe that's what bothers them the most. No matter how many digs, jokes, or passive-aggressive comments appear online, she keeps rising. Their words don't slow her down, they highlight how unstoppable she is. The truth is, Sydney Sweeney isn't the problem. She's the mirror. She reflects the insecurities of an industry that struggles when talent, beauty, and ambition collide in one person. She reflects the fear older stars have of being replaced. She reflects the pressure rising actresses feel when compared to someone already dominating the spotlight. She reflects the jealousy celebrities carry quietly until a microphone is put in front of them. And she reflects something more powerful, the reality that Hollywood's future belongs to people who work, evolve, and adapt, not to those who throw shade. Sydney Sweeney learned that early, that's why she wins.